Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Faith for Dummies podcast. Hi Izzie, hi everyone.
Hi Rob, hi everyone else. How are you doing?
Yeah, not bad, thank you. Just had a very chilled morning, which was very nice and much needed because I'm working this evening. So yeah, great. How about you?
Nice. Such is the life of a youth worker. There's so many mornings where I'm not working and I feel like everybody else is at work, but then I have to go to work in the evening. So yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I go on camp next week. So, well, when this comes out, it's probably already gone. But yeah, I'm like doing that thing where you cram all your work into 2 days. But it's going to be fun. Camp's going to be good.
Nice, yeah. Yeah, you would have done camp by the time this comes out. So I hope camp was good for you.
I'm sure it was great.
Brilliant.
So, Rob, have you got any dummy moments for us this week?
Yeah, I do. Recently, I was in a meeting and I went to get a drink for all three of us. And I was having a conversation with the waitress. And in doing so, I took this other person's pink lemonade and then proceeded to drink it and then had to go back to the waitress and say, I'm really sorry, I've just drank a drink that's not mine. Instead of having the lemonade that I've already ordered and paid for, can I now have 2 pink lemonades and I'll pay the excess? And she was very graceful about it and was like, yeah, it's fine. You don't need to pay the extra. But I was a bit embarrassed and I was like, I'm not going to tell them at the table what's just happened.
But now you just
I did.
Everybody.
Yeah, I did tell him. I did tell him in the end because I thought, and it was good a job I did because the waitress then came over with the other person matcha latte and said, "Did I tell you about the lemonade business?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did." So,
oh no! Did you even order the same drink?
No, I had a lemonade. They had a pink lemonade.
You just picked up an entirely different drink and drank it.
Well, no, they gave it to me, and I was still talking.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. You've made me feel like I've had a pretty good week compared to that because I didn't steal somebody's drink in a restaurant.
Good. Yeah, thanks for that. So, on to today. What are we looking at today?
Today, we are talking about how to trust God through exam season, basically. So we know that a lot of you will have mock exams coming up, or later in the year we'll have like actual exams, GCSEs, A-levels, whatever it might be. So I interviewed my friend Ezra. So he's at uni at the moment, but he obviously went through his GCSEs and A-levels. And we just talked about how he coped with exams and revision and trusting God through that time. And it was a really great conversation.
Yeah, it was really good conversation and great name too, I might say. Why don't we go to the interview? Anything more to say?
No, I think that's it.
No? Okay, let's go to it.
Hi, everyone. I am here with my friend Ezra, and we are going to have a little chat today about exams and faith and everything that kind of goes with that. So, Ezra, do you want to introduce yourself? Let us know where you're from and where you are right now.
Yep. My name is Ezra. I am from Poole in Dorset. I am part of Izzie's church. I'm currently a student at the University of Sussex, my second year of law with American Studies.
Wow, Ezra's very smart.
You'd think that.
I know that you are very smart. But so you are from Poole and now you're in Brighton. And we met at our church, which was actually 2 churches that joined together. So we met a couple of years ago there, but you have been in church for a long time. So would you just briefly tell us kind of your church story? Like, how did you become a Christian? Have you been in church your whole life? That kind of thing.
Yeah, cool. So I grew up in a Christian family. My dad was a preacher. Mom was involved in worship quite a bit. I was kind of brought up with a lot of the Christian stories. Like I knew about Jesus dying on the cross and stuff like that, but I never really had a personal connection with it. I remember one day I was kind of praying out of habit and I was just kind of sat there and I just came to this sudden realization that like everything in this world, like the stars in the sky and the trees in the fields, all of that was created. And the person who created that loved me so much that he, despite my own sin and my own, just unholiness, chose to die for me. And I was like, wow, that someone would love me that much. And someone so powerful that would love me that much. And so I was like, okay. From there on, I was like, okay, I want to follow God and learn more about God. And yeah, that happened when I was about, I think, 14. Yeah, from there on, I've been trying to seek God my best.
Yeah, I mean, you're like one of the godliest people I know. So that's why I was like, I want Ezra on this podcast because I am constantly taught by you and in awe of you. And actually, if you came to our summer camps this summer, then you might have met Ezra and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
And now he's really embarrassed. Cool. Well, we wanted to record today and talk about school and exams and all of that kind of thing. So this is going out in late October, maybe early November, which is kind of a time where people are doing mock exams. And obviously, if you're a teenager, you have exams for many years. So we just wanted to chat to somebody who's kind of been through their GCSEs and A-levels, but is still at university, still going through exams and studying, but who also is a committed Christian who loves Jesus. And we wanted to talk about how you mix those things together. So thinking back to your GCSEs and A-levels a couple of years ago, how did you approach exams? How did you feel about them? Were you like A-star model student, flew through your exams, or were you someone who found them a bit trickier?
Yeah, absolutely was not an A-star model student. My set of mocks before the last, really, I was kind of just coasting. I obviously turned up to lessons and stuff, but I wasn't paying attention. I kind of did the bare minimum work. I was like getting 3s and 4s. It was barely doing well. The only thing that I did well in was music, but other than that, like the other important stuff, I wasn't doing well. And yeah, I was really not present in terms of exams. My mind was always elsewhere. I was spending a lot more time with my friends doing sports, which, while important, exams are really important as well. So yeah, I then got basically told off by my mum for just sitting around and doing nothing really. So she was like, Ezra, you need to start doing stuff. You need to start revising. And it was annoying at first because she rang my school and was like, okay, you need to sit Ezra right at the front of the class so he's not at the back mucking about, which was definitely what I was doing.
That's amazing. I can fully see, your mum, and I can see your mum doing that.
Yeah, so that was quite frustrating, but it was for the greater good, and it just really knuckled down. It was annoying at first because I was like, I'd get home and I'd be like, I want to sit down and relax, watch something on the TV. Mum was like, no, you are opening up your textbook, you are sitting there, and you are going to write down everything you can. It was really frustrating, but I definitely needed that because I went from barely getting 4s in that first set of mocks to then the next set of mocks, I was getting 7s, nearly 8s, all because I basically knuckled down and my mum was kind of just like, Ezra, you need to get your head screwed on.
Yeah, fair. So maybe it's different for those two different kind of times, but how did you feel when you were like leading up to an exam? So like the night before an exam, were you the kind of person who's like, I can't do anything more, it'll be what it'll be? Or were you like cramming revision, really nervous, like knees knocking as you went into the exam?
I think I very much was, I'm one of those people who kind of be like, okay, it is what it is. Like at the end of the day, I've done what I can, and whatever is the outcome is the outcome. Kind of trust God in that, really. I'd always try and pray before my exams, but also obviously doing the work beforehand, not just praying and hoping I'm doing well and not doing any work. So yeah, I would say I wouldn't cram, but I think I definitely, looking back on it now, I probably should have done more spaced out work over the space of the week rather than doing a lot in the last 2 days before the exam.
Yeah, fair. I mean, you're like, in my opinion, you're quite a chilled guy, and anyone who knows you would probably say you're quite a chilled person. But do you have those moments, maybe it's not exams, maybe it's other things, of feeling really nervous, feeling like, what if I've not done enough? Or like, what if something goes wrong?
I think definitely, actually yesterday, I was just telling you earlier about how at my uni, the welfare officer in the society, in the Tamil society, and I had my first event I was running, and it was quite challenging because whilst I am the welfare officer and I've got to be like supporting people, I also don't want it to seem like a therapy session. I want it to be a little fun and game session for people as well. So finding that balance was really difficult. And going into it, I was really nervous because obviously there's a lot of people and a lot of people staring at you and listening to you. But I think as I went through that event, I kind of got more comfortable and more accustomed to it. So I was definitely nervous going into it, but just having people there and supporting me as well, the other committee members, were really helpful and kind of just ease into it. So I think maybe I do get a little nervous, but I think I kind of ease into things. I don't stay in that state of nervousness. It kind of goes away quite quickly.
Okay, nice. So when you still now as well, because you're in uni, but when you were doing your A-levels, how did you manage to balance like church life or like daily kind of faith stuff with exams? Because I'm the kind of person that when I've got big stuff going on in my life, it's the kind of reading the Bible, prayer time, that all gets pushed out. because I'm like, I've got to get up and I've got to work hard and I can deal with Jesus later. And actually that's like an awful way to look at it. But how did you kind of manage that stuff when exams were coming up, when, you know, things were getting stressful?
Yeah, I think after my GCSE incident where my mum was kind of just like, you know, you need to knuckle down and discipline yourself, I kind of learned that. So I'm someone who I try to go to the gym quite a bit. And during my exam period, I would get up at 4:30 in the morning to go to the gym. And then, yeah, so I'll get up at 4:30 in the morning to go to the gym. I'll try and read my Bible beforehand. And then any time I had after I came back home from the gym before school, I would try and use that time to study, because I've got this. I think personally, the morning is probably the best time you can do anything, because not a lot of people are up. Like I remember going to the gym and no one would be on the roads and no one would be in the gym. And it's the best time for you to get stuff done because there's no one there to distract you.
Wow. That's so early. I'm like, I've barely got to sleep by 4 a.m.
Yeah. So I would use that time. I think that was the best time for me because it allowed for a lot of personal reflection because I was the only person present. So I think that sort of that time in the morning, and then obviously having church on a Sunday would really help because people would be asking me, oh, how's exams going? And just being really honest with them is probably the best thing you can do because, you know, there's a lot of people in church who would have done exams, even if it seems like they would have done it 100 years ago. They know what it's like, and they can tell you from their experience how you can balance your faith and, yeah, exams. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. It does. I mean, it sounds like you're an incredibly disciplined person when it comes to that. Like to be able to get up at 4:30 in the morning, just to be able to fit in that kind of like physical well-being, spiritual well-being, and then also study and go to school. That's amazing. Are you managing to do the same kind of thing at uni, or have you had to figure out a different, because obviously you're also now fitting in like social life and all that kind of stuff. So are you finding a different route through that in terms of still finding time for Jesus?
I think it's a lot more challenging at uni because when you're at uni, you're not living with your parents. So you don't have that kind of protection from the outside world. And it is very difficult in terms of finding a balance. And especially because everyone at uni is going to be up at stupid times in the morning.
Yeah.
Myself included. I think a lot of my friends can attest to that I would be up at stupid times. But uni has been a really great time living with other people because I'm in my second year. I'm living in a house with 2 other Christians. And it's been really great because we've been able to spend time in Bible study. So like I've been telling everyone that we start our Bible study at 9:30 in the evening, which it is quite late. But then we will continue talking until 2:30 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing. So good. It's so good. But I mean, in terms of like sleeping, it's not great.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's so good at uni. And I think finding people around you who kind of share the same beliefs is really good. I found it quite difficult growing up because I was always the oldest in the youth group. So there weren't really people my age and there weren't people who really had my hobbies as well. So it was quite difficult being able to be accountable or find people to account to me in terms of my faith. But I think I sort of saw that as a challenge because it meant that then I'm the person that people can come to about that faith. And naturally that makes me want to be a better person of faith and take my Bible reading, my prayer, just my faith a lot more seriously so I can then be an example role model to those around me.
Yeah, nice. That's cool. So regardless of whether you've gone into exams nervous or confident, how do you personally trust that whatever outcome there is, whether you get like the highest grade or really low grade, how do you trust that kind of God's got a plan through that? Because I think that's what a lot of people, when you really dig down to the core, that's what they're worried about, right? Is that if they don't do well on their exams, their life plan isn't going to go ahead. But how do you trust that? And how are you trusting that at uni?
So one of the things growing up that kind of helped shape that was I grew up caring for my mum. And then when I was about 16, my dad had a heart attack. So that was quite scary because I then went from caring for one parent to I've got both parents. And I don't know if I'm going to have to drop out of school to get a full-time job to support them. Like that was a thought that was going through my head quite a bit. But I think through seeing what my family went through, and I remember when I was sat on the hospital bed with my dad and the doctor was saying, you've had a string of heart attacks. I was like, I just completely tuned out everything. I was like, right, I can either be really angry with God or see that God has a plan for this. And I chose to see that God had a plan for it. And obviously in that scenario, it was quite difficult because there was just so much hurt, so much emotion. But looking back on it, you know, it brought my family closer together a lot. And it's helped. My dad and my mom both have been able to use their stories as examples to inspire other people and to talk to other people, which has just been so good, I think, not just for their own faith, but for people around them. It's just been so good. And even just like making friends, not just faith as well, but being able to establish relationships through those experiences, which in the time of having a heart attack or having the health issues, you wouldn't see. So I kind of carry that into my exams, that I could try my best, but if I don't get the result I want, I know that I've trusted God and he has a plan and a purpose, and he might use it in a way that I don't see right now. It could be in a month's time, it could be in a year's time, it could be 10 years time, but there is a plan for everything. There is a reason why everything happens. You know, it does say in the Bible that I know the plans. If you have a plan and purpose for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, but to give you a hope in the future. And if you hold fast to that, you know, there is a plan and a purpose for you, despite the fact you might not see it, you know. Yeah. That's something that really helps. Just being able to trust that God has a plan and a purpose for that.
Yeah. Someone said to me recently, like, a piece of advice that had been shared to them was like, this person was being really blunt with them. And they said, I think your problems are big and God is small. And that's not the way it should be. Actually, like, your problems need to be small and God needs to be big. And, you know, this was someone facing like difficulties at work. And actually, it's the same for exams. It's the same for everything else we go through, isn't it? That actually, those exams are like a tiny moment in your life, and they absolutely can define a lot of things. They can define whether you get into uni, they can define what jobs you get, but equally, God's going to be able to use them wherever. And I remember freaking out about that because I did not do very well in my A levels. I did really well in my GCSEs, but awfully in my A levels. And I remember thinking, my life is over. And it made me realize that a lot of my identity was in being smart or being the good kid at school, or, you know, that kind of thing. And then I suddenly what am I going to do without people, a number on a page to tell me how smart I am? And actually, God has used the last 10 years since my last exam in a lot of amazing ways. So yeah, I think that's a great thing to remember, that there is a purpose through all of these things, whatever the outcome is. If you had just one bit of advice or one tip to give to teenagers currently going through their GCSEs and A levels, it can be practical or spiritual or both, what would you say?
One piece of advice.
I mean, you can give more than one if you're feeling generous.
I don't know. I think one piece of advice is just going back to that point of trusting God, that it's not the end of the world if you don't get the results that you don't want, because God will use you in a way that you won't see. Because at the end of the day, even if you get the results that you want, you're not going to know what God's plan is for you. So you should apply the same way of thinking.
Yeah, nice. Thank you so much. I also think actually what you were saying about getting up early and putting God first in that, whether you're a morning person or you do that in the evening or another point in your day, actually carving out time for God, even in the stressful time, is a very practical way of putting that into action, isn't it? And saying, I'm going to give you this time and I'm going to trust that you're going to bless me because of it, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think another piece of advice I give in terms of, not in terms of exams, but in terms of faith, one of the best things you can do is to try and spend time in prayer with people. Just ask someone if they want prayer, even if it's a random person who doesn't believe in God. Just ask them, is there anything I can pray for you? Because it might not be something that they've ever had asked them before. And even people in church, I've approached people in church and like, oh, would you like prayer? Or how can I be praying for you for this week? And they'll be like, oh, thank you. And no one asks me that. So it's so good, because not only does it help that person feel loved, which is what God calls us to do, but it also helps strengthen your relationship with the other person and with God.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ezra does that amazingly. He's constantly asking people for prayer. And then he's actually praying, because he then texts you and he's like, how has this thing gone? And you're like, oh, I forgot I even told you about that. So yeah, you're great at that. You're a real prayer. So thanks for all your prayers for me.
No worries.
Oh, cool. Thank you so much for coming and chatting to us. It's been great. And I will hopefully see you at some point soon, but hopefully we'll see you back on camp for those who have been on camp. And yeah, if you want to know anything more about this stuff, or you want to talk about going to uni and things like that, I am very sure that Ezra would be happy to chat with you. So just message us on Instagram, because he's got a lot of advice to give. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
See ya.
See ya.
Great. Thanks so much for that interview, Ezra. That was really, really cool. Izzie, did you enjoy that?
I did. I love Ezra. He's such a godly guy and he teaches me a lot. We talked in an interview about how one of his pieces of advice was like praying with other people and how he always asks people for prayer. And as we ended the interview, like when I stopped recording, he was immediately like, what can I pray for you this week? So he stands by his own advice is what I will say. But yeah, it was really helpful.
Lovely. How graceful of him.
He's a good guy. Rob, was there anything else, Rob, that you would add to the advice that he gave or to anything that he said?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, I really liked it when he said that his mum rang the school to tell him that he has to sit at the front of class. Gosh, I think I would have been mortified if my mum had done that.
Yeah, me too.
Mortified. Did I say that right?
Yeah, I think you did, but now you said it wrong.
I also think that one of the things you do is you learn by doing it. And so if you get bad results in your mocks, that can help push you into gear to actually try a bit harder. I remember one time at uni for me, I had a deadline for an essay or assignment or something. And I stayed up until 4 a.m. in the church's office that I was working for, writing it. And that was enough to make me go, gosh, I am never doing that again.
Yeah, I really feel you on that. Also, I think sometimes you have to go through the difficulty of getting it wrong as well. So as in I got bad results in my A levels, which I think I mentioned in the interview. And so I didn't go to uni. I was set to get like quite high A levels and go to a really good uni, and I just didn't go in the end. I just thought my life is over. What am I going to do? And now I'm 10 years on from that moment, and I really love what I do. I've had a great job. I have gone to uni in the end. And so these things can work out, and I'm in a much better place than I think I would have been. So, you got to trust. That's kind of what Ezra was saying, like trusting God that he's got purposes for you.
Yeah, great. And you now co-host the podcast as well.
See, I wouldn't be a glamorous podcast host if I had gone to uni when I was 18. So there we go. But yeah, thank you so much, Ezra, for chatting to us. We really, really enjoyed that interview, and hopefully it'll be helpful for some of you.
So what are we looking at next week, Izzie?
Yeah, next week we are answering the question, would Jesus have TikTok? Obviously.
Sorry, that sounded like you said, would Jesus have TikTok?
I did say that.
Oh, okay. That's
obviously we're going to talk about other social media and stuff as well, but I think it's a good question to think about. Would Jesus have TikTok? So why not think about that all week until next podcast episode comes out?
Yeah, and that is the one that I've really enjoyed doing the artwork for most.
Nice. Can't wait to see it.
So, yeah, hope you like it.
Great. I'll see you next week.
See you next week. Bye, Izzie. Bye, everyone.
Bye.